All right, welcome. Today we're going to do Mortal Kombat characters. These are the like main storyline playable characters, so not like non-playable bosses and things, um, as well as the like DLC characters you might get, Terminator, RoboCop, Predator, those characters. So it should just be the main group. I don't think this list missed any, but I liked it because it had the names on them because some of these folks I don't know. Um, for a little bit of background, Mortal Kombat. I played Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3, like the original trilogy, on Sega Genesis mostly. I think I owned 2 and 3. Can't quite remember now because some of it I also just like would go to my friend's house and play or borrow, or we'd share games. Then didn't play 4 through 9 or whatever. I know they had different names along the way, but I think it was like 9. And then I picked it back up on PlayStation with Mortal Kombat X, so 10. And then played 11 as well. I've not played the new one, which is Mortal Kombat 1. So I also played a little bit at the arcade when it first came out, like Mortal Kombat 1, small set of characters. Um, Fun game to play at the arcade as well. It's just I had a Sega and was able to play it at home, so I didn't play it as much. I will also say, like, in terms of fighting games, I was more of a Street Fighter player than a Mortal Kombat player, like, at least in terms of my skill at the time. I was better at Street Fighter. Mortal Kombat, I was good enough. I beat it. I could play a little bit, but I struggled some with some characters more than others. It was really cool. I like the characters more in Mortal Kombat, but like Street Fighter's just pace and action, I was a little bit better at. Um, I also owned for a brief moment one of the Mortal Kombat games when the N64 first came out, so I got it on N64. I took it back or asked for it to be returned and replaced with something else like Pilot Wings. I'm kidding. I didn't replace it with Pilot Wings. It was probably I had Mario, so it was whatever else would have been early on in the days. I don't think Star Fox was out yet, but maybe something like that. Um, I think it just because it felt like the Sega games, like it didn't look all that much better to me. Didn't play as easy as them because one thing I will say about like the Sega Genesis, some games the controller was a little harder to use. It was more comfortable in your hand, I think, than like the SNES. But Mortal Kombat, I think it was 2, maybe 3. I always felt like the controller was easier to use than the SNES because, like, I'd go to a friend's house and play SNES. Um, and then when I moved to use the N64, it was like damn near impossible. I'm like trying to use the joystick and stuff, and it was just not to me the best controller for a lot of those types of games. Um, but then when I got to the PlayStation, it was much easier to control again. So it was a very good game to play. When I got to PlayStation, so X was a very good game, like cinematically great as well. The fighting was awesome, a lot of characters. So a lot of my exposure to these characters I'm going to rank is from X and 11. I did also go back and watch like the full storyline of 9, 10, and 11 because 9 goes along with 10 and 11 for some reboot. So I don't know how much. I was trying to remember how much they might have changed from the original story. I did know some of the original story, especially back when I played, just reading, while you're playing, or you had magazines back then, or just word of mouth, talking with your friends. But I'll probably get some of that muddied up in terms of who the characters are, what they did at a certain time. The only other caveat I'd add is I did watch the Mortal Kombat movies. So the original movie in the 90s and then the sequel, which was not very good, but I still kind of enjoyed it, honestly. And then the newer ones, I don't think the second one's come out yet, but the first one was fine. Kind of forgettable to me. It was fine. But the original kind of still holds a place in my heart too, just because I was at that age where you can appreciate that kind of movie. So that'll, kind of feed into this. Now, the last thing I'll say before I get into the rankings is I'm not going to rank this like a good Mortal Kombat player. And what I mean by that is a Mortal Kombat fan. Like, one, my knowledge of the characters is not good enough to like say I'm just rating it based off the character story. And two, I'm not a good enough fighter in the game, or I didn't play with enough of the characters long enough to say like, oh, this guy's moves, make him the best or whatever, because I don't remember enough of it or didn't play with them enough. So it's some hybrid of how they played, uh, how much I like their story, but honestly, it boils down to like how cool they are, kind of. And really, if I had to put a stamp on it, would be like, would I really want them to be in the game? Like, would I have to have them be in the game to enjoy it? So we'll go with that. The categories I've got here are pretty well the same, I think, as what I usually do. I kind of try to keep it kind of small so I could do it like in one video here. So Supreme are the cream of the crop. The awesome are great, great characters. Barely not awesome, just a slight tier below. Cool enough for those characters where it's like, yeah, they're fine. And there's, Mortal Kombat doesn't have too many like really dumb characters to me, so maybe a lot fit in there. Dumb characters I just kind of thought like, why are they here? Who cares if they're not in the game? That kind of stuff. And then haven't heard of. So there's going to be a section, I'm sure, just as I look through the list of those that I'm like, who are they? Because they obviously appeared in like 4 through 8 or whatever was in between there, and didn't reappear like in X or what have you. Some of them I think did, because I don't remember them from the original, but maybe they were and I just missed them, because tricky with the originals, there's like these hidden characters and side characters and stuff that if you don't know cheats or anything and don't read up on it, you might miss them. So with that, here's the characters we have below. You see I got the names with them. I didn't do this. Credit to whoever put this together, because it saved me a lot of work. But looks like it's pretty comprehensive. I ran through, just make sure it wasn't somebody I was like, oh my gosh, what about that person? So I think we're good. The first thing I'm going to do to clean it up is just go through those I haven't heard of. I will rank them at the end, just based off of how cool they look or their names. But if I haven't heard of them, or I've heard of them just like a little and not seen them in a game, I'll put them down there. So we'll start. We will start with Ashra here. I don't know Ashra. I haven't heard of. Looks a little like Raiden with the hat. Baraka, we know. Blaze, I don't know. Blaze is an interesting looking like molten monster there. Bo Raicho, yes. Cassie, yes. Cetrion, yes. Chameleon, Cyrax, Dagon, I do not know. Looks like some of the animation for these two, you can almost tell which games they're from. Cyrax, yes. Daru, don't know. Darius, don't know. Looks a little like Neo, or I'm sorry, Morpheus from Matrix. Draman, cool mask, never heard of you. Devora, yes. Ermac, yes. Aaron, yes. Ferrator, yes. Frost, Fujin, Garrus, yes. Goro, yes. Havoc. Havoc, I don't think I have. It feels like I should. Looks kind of weird. Looks pretty cool. Hotaru, don't think so. This guy, definitely not. Suhao, if I'm pronouncing that right. Looks like M. Bison. Maybe it's a knockoff. Jarek, don't think so. So Goro, Jackie, SJ, Jax, Johnny, Cabal, Kai. Kai, no. Kano, Kenshi, Chameleon, Kentaro, Kira. No on Kira. Okay. Katana, Cobra. Is that like a Johnny Lawrence reference there? He looks like Ken or Johnny Lawrence kind of deal, combo. Kentaro Collector, Kodokan. Kunjen, yes. Kung Lao, yes. Li Mei, no. Liu Kang, yes. Mavado, no. Meat I've heard of, but I don't know much about him. I think it was just that I've heard he's like gruesome looking and like flayed and all that stuff. So I've heard him. Same with Mocap. I've heard of Mocap. I think it was like a joke character of the live action folks. So Moloch, nope. Motaro, yeah, that's the Centaur. Nightwolf, Nitara, no. Looks kind of cool. Noob, Sabot, Saibot, Onaga, Quan Chi, Raiden, Rain. Onaga, I haven't heard of. Making sure of that. Kind of looked familiar, but I don't think that's who I'm thinking of. So yeah, I don't know Onaga. Reiko, I don't know. Serena, I don't know. Again, all these kind of look like a similar game style. Sector, Shang Tsung, Shao Kahn, Sheva, Shinox, Shujinko. I don't think I know Shujinko. It's always a chance too. Some of these characters were like non-playable characters, and the new one's just part of the story that I kind of glossed over. Sindel, Scarlet, Smoke, yes, Sonya, Striker, Sub Zero, Takeda, Tanya, Taven, no, Taven, and Triborg. Okay, I think that gets me to characters I have seen or played with and played with. Yeah, okay. So now we'll go through and bucket them. I think, like I said, I try to almost keep it as a bell curve, so not too heavy at the top or bottom. I won't like force fit it if it makes sense, but we'll try to do that. And honestly, I may clump them more toward the middle to start and then spread them out. So like have characters in awesome first before I put any in supreme, just to make sure I'm not like overzealous and putting somebody too high or too low. So we'll see. All right, Baraka. So Baraka, I remember, I think it was in two, being a cool character to like see. He was more gruesome looking than anything at the time. Had his giant blades, used them, cut you up. Had like a move where he do his hands like that, make like a metal like spark or something that hit you. Really felt slow when I played with him. Like I couldn't jump fast or anything. And again, this is me playing. This isn't like the character itself. So I didn't use him a ton because I was like, yeah, the giant blades are cool, but I'm like so slow. These fast characters just roll me. So I did play with him, but I thought his character was really cool. Uh, cool what they did with him in like the story and like his race of people in the X timeline. I don't know what they call that, but whatever the new 9, 10, 11 timeline is, where you actually get to see these characters in 3D, well, full 3D. He's pretty cool. All right, Bo Rai Cho was interesting. He had a small part in the new series, and I think he has bigger parts in earlier games, not the original trilogy. But he's kind of a joke character, like a fat, kind of the fat master. uh, he like will throw up and fart and do other things while he's fighting. That's his thing. So he's just a little bit of comic relief. I'll have him as cool enough. Cassie Cage, interesting one here because Cassie's in the new stuff. Johnny Cage, Sonya Blade's daughter. And I'm not always a huge fan of the like replacement type characters where it's like, oh, the other characters are old and now you just get a new version in and, hopefully their personality clicks or whatever. But Cassie kind of stands out. She has her own like blend of both their personalities and the dynamic with how she interacts with her mom and her dad in the kind of movie, if you will, the cinematics of the newer games. Gives her good personality. Just the way she back talks with the other characters when they fight is cool. So I think they did a good job with Cassie. If you were again saying like, hey, if a Mortal Kombat game was coming out, would you want Cassie in it? I'd say yeah. I will have her in the barely not awesome category to start. Cetrion. Cetrion was like I'm going to get it wrong, like what her powers are, but she's like a goddess, kind of a Raiden deal, I think. Um, Not super memorable to me other than being like kind of a generic goddess in the newer games. More of the just real bland, like as bland as Raiden can be. Raiden at least has some sense of humor sometimes. She doesn't really do that. And also with Raiden, I probably am somewhat thinking of the Christopher Lambert version from the movies. But Cetrion's a little bit boring to me. I'll have her in the cool enough category. Like if she's in a game, it's like, oh, okay, but I'm not super excited about that. Okay, chameleon. There's two chameleons. One is male, one is female. I don't remember them a lot, other than like in the originals, there was chameleon could like switch between the different characters. So like every character that was a ninja. So if you had Sub Zero was the same, you know, actor or whatever as Scorpion, Reptile. They just changed the colors of the characters. Well, Chameleon was able to switch between them, was kind of the thing. But I don't think he has like a story or a backstory or any like purpose other than that was just a cool thing to throw in the game at the time. Which, you know, for Mortal Kombat they did that a lot, which is fine. Like you add something into the game as a cool little thing. So kudos to the developer for their creativity, the developers. But I thought I'll go ahead and do it. I think it was a little dumb. And to be honest, I'll go ahead and flip down to the other chameleon. I think it's the same thing. This other chameleon, I don't remember as much. Like, did that chameleon switch? You know, like a Katana, Jade, Melina kind of deal, or you know, was she doing mimicking something else? I don't quite remember. I think it's the first part, but again, similar concept. Now, if they were to do this again, and I don't think these were in the newer ones, but I think if they did it as if they were a race of peoples or a group or like certain special powers and like gave them a purpose around it, it might be more interesting. But just the way these characters were, I was like, you're just kind of repeating characters that already exist, and I don't think you need to do that. So, all right. We can kind of do it with these guys too. So like Cyrax is the cyborg, along with Sector. Sector's farther down. I think there's a couple of others. There's Smoke at some point becomes a cyborg. Sub-Zero is like for a hot minute a cyborg. I don't know that they even count him as I don't think they count him as a separate character here. And then there's a Triborg, which is like the chameleons essentially, but with the cyborgs where you can switch between them. Cyrax and Sector I thought were pretty cool additions. I remember when they were added, to the games. If it was 2 or 3, I get them mixed. I think it's 2. I think most of these characters were added in 2 from 1, and then maybe a few were added in 3. But Cyrax was, I like robots. I'm a robot guy growing up as a kid, Transformers and all that, RoboCop, Terminator. So to have these types of characters where they're ninjas but transformed into these cyborgs is pretty cool. Now the story, and I don't know what changed, from the originals to the new. It felt like in the originals they were just a group that chose to be cyborgs, and like that was it. The newer one added a little bit of dynamic where I think Cyrax was the more reluctant one, like this isn't the right thing to do, and we need to stop this and not turn people into cyborgs. Whereas Sector was pushing for it, and like Cyrax was kind of forced into it and all this other stuff. So he's a little bit more the good guy one of them. But I always thought Cyrax was pretty cool. I'll start him in the barely not awesome category. He may move. We'll see. Got to see where everybody lands. All right. Since I talked about, I'll go ahead and move Sector too. Sector I'll have up there, and we'll figure those two out. And then I mentioned Triborg as well, so he's down here at the end. I don't like. I said he's like the chameleons, but I think he looks cooler, has a cooler feel to him. I don't know if that's going to be enough to keep him out of dumb, but we'll start him up there. So that just gets us through those cyborgs. I won't count like Smoke. He's a little different. All right, Devora. So Devora is in the newer games, 10 for sure. I think she's a very creepy character. She's like a swarm of like a hive of locusts or something is kind of her deal, or they're like they come out of her or whatever. There was a Spider-Man villain, I think, Swarm, that was kind of like that, but bees maybe. So Devora was creepy. She's got these like stinger things that come out of her back and like kill. She's killed some main characters, if I recall correctly, and is probably hated for that because she did kill them off. Um, but she is like a good villain, kind of creepy villain type character. If you're telling me like, oh, she's not in the game, I don't think I'm going to care too much though. So I'll have her down in the cool enough. She was good for like her part in a game, but we'll see. She's pretty good, but maybe not good enough. All right, Ermac. So Ermac was, I don't remember where Ermac kicked in. I definitely remember Ermac from the original games, whether he was a hidden boss or a, one of those like fan fiction kind of things where we were talking about it and it wasn't real, but eventually he became a real character. I do know that. And he's one of those like multiple soul type characters, I think. Really creepy looking, cool skill sets. He's fun to play with. In 10 for me, I thought he was fun to play with. Didn't really get used to his skill sets. I was kind of more of a button masher with him a little bit, but I liked his story. Um, so I'm going to put Ermac in the awesome category. All right, Aaron. This guy's probably a little controversial in terms of, I assume some fans don't like him that much. He's a gunslinger, mercenary, doesn't have a whole lot of like story. I th- I think he debuted in the newer games, unless he showed up somewhere along the way. But he's the like merc for hire. I want to say in like one timeline he's fighting for the bad guys, and one he's in the good guys, and he's just really gun for hire. But I am partial to these types of characters. I like the gunslingers, the Clint Eastwoods of the world. He's fun in that regard. It's just like a cool character to put yourself into. Not really a powers character, more of a gun wielding character. But I think he's really fun. And if you're telling me, is he going to be in a game? I'm like, yeah, I'd rather him be in the game than not. So Aaron Black will be there. Farah Tor. Farah was in Farah Tor, two of them were in X. I don't know if they were in 11, but they are kind of like Master Blaster from Thunderdome, Mad Max, where you got the big hulking kind of body, and then you got the little spunky, talkative uh, person on the back, and they attack as a team. Fun character design and change. Like from a development standpoint, it's always cool when they add a different dimension and dynamic to how these characters fight. It made a fun character to try to fight with that was a little bit different. Not a whole lot in the backstory department or anything to make them like super fun for me though. So I'm going to have them in the cool enough. Like if they're not in the game, I won't even notice probably. But because they were in it, it's like, oh, that's a fun little side departure. Frost. So Frost is, I think, from the newer games, maybe came along in the middle games that I didn't play, but is more of a Sub-Zero replacement. Like she is similar skill sets, all this. The only thing I really remember about Frost in the newer games was like in the story, she was more on the bad side because she was seeing that the Lin Kuei, the group, was like maybe making peace across with other groups they shouldn't have been, and then she was being held back, and she wanted to be Sub-Zero, but she couldn't be, so kind of resentful. Used the sorcery people, got her on their side. I don't find her to be that compelling. Just kind of a retread of Sub-Zero, right? It's like at some point she was probably the replacement Sub-Zero. Like if he wasn't in a game, she was probably there. So good effort to try to give her a backstory, but I don't think it was that much. Fujin. So Fujin, from what I recall, is Raiden's brother, maybe, or a god just alongside of him that controls like wind and you know, like Raiden's the lightning god, he's the wind god, so tornado, that kind of thing. In his skill set, not not that I remember too much, but not all that different of a personality from Raiden, so really didn't like differentiate himself or stand out in any real way to me, which is fine. He's still an okay character, but I would just have him as cool enough. Like if he wasn't in the game, I wouldn't notice. Uh, Garrus. So there's a character not on here, and I think it's because she's not playable. It's Chronica. Chronica is the main villain in 11, I think. So she controls time and like is trying to mess with the timeline or do something, and then like Liu Kang's got to stop her, and Shang Tsung and others are trying to do stuff. But he's like the muscle. So Garrus, he also's got like time powers and things. Very stoic, just like a stone guy kind of deal. Just cool enough. Like again, if he wasn't there, I'd be like, yeah, okay, he's. It's more fine for that one little segment of a story of like around the gods or titans or whatever they are. And once that resolves, it's like I really don't need these people other than every few games or something. Okay, Goro. Goro is a classic character in the original. Probably the first time in the original where you feel like intimidated. So, for example, I remember playing the original on at the arcade, and I made it up the ladder to Goro. And when you were seeing it at the time, like on an arcade screen, it felt very intimidating, and I got my butt kicked because I was just like, I don't even know what to do. And seeing his arms and everything was very intimidating. So big dude, stomps and all that. Finally, you get it on Sega and you play it enough, you figure out patterns and everything, and you can beat him. But for a sub boss or whatever you call that, like he was really cool to have as a sub boss, really cool and iconic kind of, um, frame to him. The way they made the original Mortal Kombat with these live actors, and they could have played it safe and just kept everybody kind of looking like a human, but they went out and did something like that, so that's cool. And then Goro was in the movie, which I thought was cool that they put forth the effort to have him in that. Got punched where it counts from Johnny Cage doing a split punch. But yeah, Goro was kind of cool, and I've always liked Goro. He's not like the super best guy to fight with or anything. But he's definitely an iconic character. I'll have him in the awesome category. All right, Jackie Briggs. So Jackie's kind of like Cassie from a character standpoint, where she is Jackson Bridges' son, and Jackie is kind of not quite as gruff maybe as her dad, just a little bit nicer, but she's a good soldier and all that. That said, I don't think her personality stands out enough. I don't think they give her enough to do. Cassie stands out. Jackie does not stand out. If Jackie wasn't in the game, or I'd forget that she was even in the game, um, with just how much they gave her. Now, maybe they do more in the future, but I'll just have her as cool enough. All right, Jade. Jade is part of the first group of the kind of female fighters, not Sonya, but the Katana, Alina Jade group. Jade had the staff, was green. I was never a good fighter with Jade. I could never use her skill sets or whatever the way they were intended to be used, so I just would like try her and then give up pretty quickly. She's more of a background to Katana to me, like a servant of Katana or something like that. Uh, Still, I like her character. I think she's cool. I want her in the games, but I don't know enough about her. She just and her moves and everything to be good with her. But I'll have her in the barely not awesome category because I still like her character. All right, Jax. So Jax gets a raw deal a lot of times. Like gets his arms ripped off in just about every scenario. Gets the metal arms. Uh, Good fighter, good partner with Sonya. Um, Jax, I always struggled with a little too. I felt slow with him when I play with him, but kind of liked him as a character, liked his metal arms, liked him in the movies and shows and things. Um, so I'll have him as barely not awesome as well. All right, Johnny Cage. Johnny Cage is a classic character from the original, Mr. Hotshot Hollywood star that gets thrown into the tournament. Also in the movie, gets thrown in the tournament. In the newer games, he had a relationship with Sonya Blade. They had Cassie Cage. He and Sonya are still close. I don't think they're married or anything, or they're divorced or something, but they are close. He's a fun character. He gains some perspective in his age. One of the cool things, like and I think it's 11, when they have time issues and time warps, I believe they have like older Johnny Cage going and having to deal with younger Johnny Cage, and it's just funny to see him like be so frustrated with his own self of how he was. He still has a little bit of that in him, but he's older and wiser, so it's kind of cool to see the dynamic there. But I always liked Johnny. Johnny was fun to watch, fun to play with. Love doing the splits. I'll have him in the awesome category. I wasn't great with Johnny. Like, again, as a fighter, I wouldn't pick him often. He just wasn't my guy. But I did like to have him in the game. Like, if you tell me a game was coming out and he wasn't in it, I'd be like, why not? Like, he should obviously have been in it. All right, Cabal. I think he was in like 3, maybe 2. Definitely in the new ones. Story I vaguely remember, I think, from the new ones was he was Stryker's partner, perhaps, and got like not killed, but brink of death, and then like saved by the sorcerer people, Quan Chi or somebody, and given the mask, his breathing mask. I think they said, I read somewhere at some point that he was kind of mirrored after Tusken Raiders or something from Star Wars. But anyway, given like these cool crowbar hook things for weapons, super fast. Like, that's what I remember playing against him in like X. Like, he'd have this move that would just put him across the screen like immediately. So I could never really quite master using his speed or anything. Didn't use him a lot, but kind of cool character. Think he was. I'll have him as cool enough, but he'll probably be toward the top. He might move, but he's fine. Kano. Kano's an interesting one. I hated playing with Kano. Like, I could not, and you'll hear I'm just not a good Mortal Kombat player is obviously the answer. But Kano I struggled with. He did have the awesome moves of fatality, ripping your heart out. I liked him in the original movie. I thought he was fun. I liked him in the new movie. He was probably the best part of the new movie that I can kind of recall. So when done right, I think he's a cool personality, a good foil to have, like the kind of real human, just not so great guy as part of the group. So I'll have Kano as barely not awesome. I think he's a fun character to have there. Has the cool eye thing as well. Kenshi. So Kenshi is from the newer games for sure. Don't believe he was in the old ones, but he he's like blind, has the blindfold, has the sword and a ninja kind of skill set. To me, this is like the best new character they have. Like, he is a very cool character with good story, good personality, helps the good guys, but isn't some just generic character. Lot to like about Kenshi, at least for me. So I'm gonna have Kenshi up in the awesome category. He was one while I was like watching it or playing the game. I'm like, who's that guy? He's pretty sweet. All right, Kintaro. I don't know the backstory on Kintaro. I mean, he's Goro, effectively, with tiger skin. I don't know what the tiger stuff is, and I don't know if it was just like, they used Goro and had to reskin him for a game. But Kintaro is the same concept, right? I didn't find him to be all that appealing. I'm like, just use Goro if you're going to use somebody like that. Maybe he's got more to do or more personality, but I don't remember it much, so I'm just going to have him down in the cool enough category. All right, Katana. Katana is the princess type character, princess in the movie, princess in the games. Uh, daughter, is it daughter of Sindel? I don't remember. Adopted daughter, maybe, of Shao Kahn. I can't remember the dynamics there, but it's something like that. And she is one that I like to play with from the fans, being like her main weapon and spinning them around. Like, was good at that. Was good at chucking them. You could kind of get in this habit or loop of like keeping them at distance, bringing them in, and hitting them. So she was one character that I could actually play pretty well with in two. And then I like her character. She's always got the like love dynamic with Liu Kang, and presents like an interesting, female kind of lead a little bit within the series. So I'll have her up in the awesome category. Collector, new games, 9, 10, 11. I think 10 is where I remember him. Interesting, weird little character again, kind of like Devora and some of those. I don't recall all that he does. It's kind of, I don't remember if it's like he's a soul collector or something like that, but he does have these extra arms that come out of his back. Creepy little guy. If he wasn't in the game, I don't know that I would care all that much, so I'll have him in the cool enough category, but he may shift around. We'll see. All right, Kotal Khan. So Kotal Khan is in the new games. He is the Khan now that Shao Kahn is gone. No rhyming intended there. He, from what I recall, is the like active leader, but Melina is challenging his reign. So there's like a civil war kind of deal going on in Netherworld. The Aztec kind of look on his head is how he appears, like in the game. He is a kind of Aztec-y warrior. He's pretty cool looking. He's a big buff dude. It's kind of like a bit of a, he's not like just this good guy. It's just he's a little bit of the antithesis of Shao Kahn from a morality standpoint. He tries to be a little bit more noble, but is still brutal in a way. So I think he was a pretty interesting take and an interesting character for, having to keep a game, series fresh, have new villains, and like create something somewhat interesting. I thought they did a pretty good job with him, and would like to see him in games. I'll have him as a Barely Not Awesome. Kung Jin, don't remember too much about. He and Takeda are buddies from what I recall. Kung Jin has like the bow and arrow. I don't remember if he's Lin Kuei. I think they're Lin Kuei. But I don't remember if he's related to anybody else. I feel like Takeda might have been Hanzo's son. Might be wrong. Kunjin was the first gay character, I think, in the series. And X was when that came out. But honestly, other than that, very forgettable. Like, I just did not. They're part of the story. I'm like, I guess you're trying to introduce some new blood, but they didn't stick for me. Kung Lao. This picture doesn't do him a good service because I like it when he's got his hat low, the bladed hat, which was always super cool, super fun to play with. Kung Lao is another one I enjoyed playing with when we were in the games. He is a pretty good fighter, pretty fast, from what I remember. I don't know that I ever would pick him over some of the other guys, but like when I got him or just got him randomly, I didn't mind playing with him for sure. Kung Lao, I'd want in the games. I like his story. He's got a good partnership with Liu Kang and Raiden and that group. So certainly a cool character. Then we have Liu Kang. So Liu Kang is like one of the main dudes of Mortal Kombat from a story perspective, I would say. Very critical to the X11 storyline. I didn't love how it kind of ended up with him being like a god and reshaping stuff. It's like, okay. But I like, and that's kind of, I think this picture, his eyes look like he's got that godhood in him. But classic character, shaped, I would assume, after Bruce Lee, just from the yelling when he would fight and had the kind of moves that reminded me of Bruce Lee, what he would do. But yeah, Liu Kang was fun to fight with. I think the fireball, the bicycle kick was him. Was pretty good with him. Wasn't like my super favorite to play with, but probably like third or so in the game, fourth. in the original and then playing forward. But Liu Kang's awesome. So cool character for sure. Fun, good. I liked him in the movie, the original movie, played by the dude from Beverly Hills Ninja, and I cannot remember his name. He's in other stuff, but yeah, he's fun. All right, Melina. So Melina was a great addition because you have like these hot girls in the game and everything, and then she's got the Baraka face, so she's like a hybrid of the two races. She has more to do, I think, in some of the newer games, which is cool. Like she's not just this like inherently completely evil seeming character, but has her certainly her viciousness to her. So Melina's a pretty cool character. She had the size. I wasn't good with her though. A little like Jade. I just was like, okay, if I'm playing with any of them, I'm playing with Katana because I just cannot quite get Melina down. But Melina is. I'll have her down here just because I wasn't like great with her, but barely not awesome. All right, Motaro. Motaro was like the centaur dude, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, Shows up in two or three. I don't think he showed up before that for sure. But new games, I don't remember much either. I don't. It didn't fit for me. Like I know, like in the movies, he's in it, and maybe the second movie. Um, just the centaur thing didn't feel right, like flowing on the screen, and I just didn't like the character. If he wasn't in a game, I wouldn't care. I honestly, I'm gonna have him in the dumb category. Just wasn't a fan. Like didn't like that type of character. All right, Night Wolf. Night Wolf is the prototypical Native American edition that happened in most of those games around that time. You had like T Hawk in the Street Fighter series. Night Wolf was a little bit more of the like spiritual, kind of wolf concept. He had the sweet tomahawk, like spiritual tomahawk that would come out like a nice little uppercut. He could throw it and keep some range. It was a fun character to play with. I'd play with Nightwolf for sure in the old ones. I thought he was a nice balance of like speed and power. So story wise, I don't remember too much of him in the newer ones, and I kind of wish he had more and maybe I just don't remember it. It was probably like a section of the game, but I'll have in the barely not awesome category. Noob Saibot, a play on the creators' names, Tobias and Boone. Everybody knows that, but uh, was was he in the first game, second game? Because he was like the reincarnation of Sub Zero. So was it Bihan? Was the original Sub Zero? Was killed by Scorpion and then resurrects as Noob Saibot. I think Quan Chi, who's next, might have resurrected him. Uh, Cool character, black character, like dark, couldn't see him. Cool move set. I actually played with him recently where I just like executed a trillion special moves and somehow didn't hurt my opponent at all. So didn't really understand his move set. Obviously didn't play with him too much back then either because I don't remember much of it. But I like the concept. I like the character of like this resurrected Lin Kuei guy. And I always thought he was super cool. So I'm going to have him up in the awesome category. And again, I'm throwing in with him the original Sub Zero. He is the original Sub Zero to me. All right, Quan Chi. I don't remember Quan Chi's origins, but my guess would be he was intended to be the like replacement Shang Tsung. He is the wizard sorcerer dude that comes along and like manipulates things and collects souls and does all that, uh, which could be repetitive and stupid. But I think they did a good job with him. He's like a good menacing character that has enough of his own personality that can actually, like he does in like X11, maybe it's X, but they're both there. And you just have the dynamic between them, and that's cool. Like they're both formidable. So I will have Quan Chi probably in the barely not awesome category to start. All right, Raiden. Raiden is the one of the key main first characters. He is the god of thunder and lightning, uh, patterned after the dude from Big Trouble in Little China, I'm sure, with the giant hat and the lightning. Raiden is the one who's responsible for getting the fighters of Earth together, so he's got a relationship with the Earth fighters and the Earth, and then in instances, fights himself and fights more as a mortal in the later, like last game, because I think Liu Kang takes over. So um, Raiden's really cool. It's got pretty good personality once you see him enough. It's not like so blah that he's boring. And then, like I said, Christopher Lambert was kind of fun as Raiden, I thought, in the original Mortal Kombat maybe. So definitely like Raiden a lot. I'll have him in the awesome category. Rain. Rain, I recall being the ninja that was purple. So Purple Rain, homage to Prince. Don't know how intentional. I would assume very intentional. Uh, his style, as you see here, changed a little bit within the new game. So he's got a little bit of a differentiated look, which is good because I don't think everybody needs to wear the same ninja costume, just different colors. But Rain controls water. I think he has a little bit of lightning stuff to him. So storms a bit as well. Not quite the Raiden level, but pretty good. Kind of a cool little side character. I like his water dynamic within the newer games. It's kind of fun to play with. I'm not like super good with him or anything, but I will say I'm going to put him in cool enough, but maybe toward the top. All right, Reptile. I'm going to get this wrong. I think Reptile was in the first game. It's like a special boss. I don't think you could play with him until the second game. But again, might be misremembering. So Reptile, I remember for being able to like camouflage and then spit venom. You see him later on, take off his hat and he's got the lizard face. He's more lizardy in the newer games, but is a cool character, cool little side story and side quest with him. I like his personality. I think it's a fun dynamic. He's also fun to see in movies, like even the newer ones. I think that's one scene I remember is him sneaking around camouflaged and getting at him in a room. So like Reptile a lot. I'll have Reptile in the awesome category. In terms of playing as Reptile, I don't remember it all that much, honestly. It kind of makes me want to go back and play more as Reptile. I know if I did use him, usually what would happen with a character like him, I'd get good enough to where I'd be like back A or whatever the hell it was to like shoot Venom, and I would just keep shooting it, right? Until they got close enough, then I'd start punching. So probably my experience with him. All right, Scorpion. So this is Hanzo. Hanzo was killed, family killed, resurrected as Scorpion, has a skull for a face in the original, burns you up with fire, but is famous for his get over here, you shooting off the little, harpoon thing to pull you in, the like little Tremors looking guy with harpoon. I played with Scorpion a lot. And yes, I was the guy who kept trying to do the get over here and then uppercut you every time until it drove you nuts. But yeah, he was a great character, a classic, iconic character. The yellow looks awesome. Kudos for the design in the original. Great story too. Like when you get to like the newer games and it really gets fleshed out, like and you get to watch it, I think it comes off the screen really good. The like Lin Kuei, the dynamic with Sub-Zero and other things. It's a very intriguing thing. It's another part of this like series that I think is really cool that they have yet to really nail. Probably outside of the games is like there are different dynamics that are kind of separate from each other that matter within the scope of the big broad problem. Like the big broad problem is the tournaments and the worlds, trying to combine and collide, or another world trying to take over Earth realm, whatever, another realm. And then off to the side, you have this dynamic around like the Lin Kuei, and you have the dynamic with the cyborgs, and you have these other things. So this is an example where it's like, his story holds its own weight beyond just the game. So certainly awesome. Shang Tsung. Shang Tsung is an awesome character as well. I'll just spoil it there. First main bad guy that you fight, he can steal souls, which was super cool. and mimic powers and those kind of things. Trickster, manipulative. It's cool when you like understand his dynamic with Shao Kahn, and you see that played out in movies or other games later on. But Shang Tsung has a lot of personality and a lot of trickery, and is very much out for himself and to be the most powerful, despite who he's serving. Think of like Starscream from Transformers, since I referenced that earlier. Sometimes he will play along until he gets to a point where he can do his thing. So always like characters like that. All right, Shao Kahn, get to a big bad. Now I know there's other big bads in the series now, but Shao Kahn is often referenced as like the big bad. And he is very intimidating when you first face him, similar to like you first face Goro. It's like, oh my gosh, well, Shao Kahn's like twice that and has the giant hammer with a lot of reach and super strong. One hit like destroys you. Even more so, I remember his fight like in X, where you're in a like Coliseum type deal. And I felt like that fight was damn near impossible until I finally like broke through, and I can't even remember which character I first beat him with, but that fight was like hardcore, and he is super imposing and challenging and like seems super strong. So Shao Kahn is an awesome villain. I even liked him in the second Mortal Kombat movie, Annihilation or whatever it was. That movie was not good, but I still enjoyed it. Okay, Shiva. Shiva is the Goro woman, and I don't think they've done enough with her. I could see it being better. Feel like she has a little bit of story, but not nearly enough to like make her super interesting. But they could, and it's like give her more of her own distinct purpose and personality. They like hint at it at times, but they don't get there. I'll have her as cool enough, or yeah, cool enough. She's somebody like I don't like fighting with those characters. They're too bulky for me, and I'm just not good with that. So that doesn't help. But yeah, she's just needs more. Shinnok. So Shinnok is like a bigger bad that was the main villain in X. He is a sorcerer. I want to say like a necromancer kind of deal, where feels like for most of the game he's like trapped in an amulet or something. Quan Chi had to get him out, but eventually he gets out, and then you got to like fight him, cut his head off or something. To me, a bit of wasted potential. I'm gonna have him as cool enough. Like if he's not in the game, I'm not gonna care. I like the concept of it, but if you're a necromancer and all this stuff, like there's a lot you can do with him, and I don't feel like they've like fleshed that out. I don't remember if he was in an earlier game. I don't think he was in the trilogy, the first trilogy, but I might just have missed him. All right, Sindel. Sindel is the wife of Shao Kahn. I think like her realm was taken over, and like inherently became his wife or something. But she's kind of famous for banshee scream and hair, long hair. She's a fine character. She's not like ever my favorite or somebody I play with a lot, but I'll have hers to start in the cool enough category. It's like take it or leave it for me sometimes. Nice to have her around every now and then. Scarlet. Scarlet, I don't remember all that much about. I don't know if she was in the original trilogy. She would have been a red version of the Jade Katana Melina, and I know Melina's close to that, but like a Scarlet Red. Her deal is more like blood things, and I would assume she probably came like in the second round of games as like a katana replacement or something, maybe, or just a new version. She and Tanya maybe a newer version of them, but she didn't have a whole lot to do in the new games. I didn't really like care too much for her. I just will have her as the cool enough. Smoke. Smoke was in the second game. Don't know if he was unlockable in the first game, but I might have to backtrack on that. But I remember it as being gray, kind of, the ninja look with smoke coming off of him, obviously. I liked that he moved like smoke. I thought that was a cool concept. He turns into, at some point, like a cyborg. I don't know if he even gets pulled back somehow later on. But his treatment of like his character in the newer ones, I'm like, it wasn't too enough for me to like really elevate him. So I'll have him a little bit lower in the barely not awesome category, but I love the concept of his character. I think it's really cool. Um, Sonya, the classic first female in Mortal Kombat, the cop kind of mindset, military cop deal. Had the kiss of death is something I remember. I sucked as Sonya. I could not fight well with Sonya whatsoever. I don't know if it was just a me thing or the character wasn't quite, as strong. But yeah, I just could not time it, at least in the original. And honestly, it made me not want to play as her later on. So I never really gave her too much effort after the fact. It does, again, make me want to go back and play like X and see how she fights there. But I love her personality, especially in the new. She's great in the movie. Bridget Wilson, was that who it was? Pete Sampras' wife, also of Billy Madison fame. But she was good, and then the newer version of Sonya is cool. Like watching her dynamic with Johnny and Cassie, I think is really fun. So I'm going to have Sonya up in the awesome category. Striker. There's probably a lot of fans that don't like Striker, I would say. He is a little too like generic cop kind of guy, but I think I read somewhere he was supposed to be in the original instead of Sonya, or he was like originally planned to be in that one, and they replaced him with a girl. So he ended up coming back as like another character later. Um, it's interesting because I figured at some point they would go the route of him like being RoboCop, right? Where he doesn't really have powers and he's just guns at first, but then it's like, hey, why don't you turn a human into a cyborg instead of just one of the Lin Kuei people? Uh, who knows? Maybe that'll still happen, but not to date. He is more interesting in the newer games. Like the old games, if you would have told me, oh, Striker, I'd have been like, yeah, I didn't really play with him much. He just like chucks grenades and stuff. But he has more to do in the new story. I think he has a little bit more of a purpose and is fleshed out. So he gets elevated for me. I don't mind playing with him in the newer games. I didn't play with him much in the older games. But I'll have him in the cool enough category. Sub-Zero. So this is technically Sub-Zero 2. What is it? Kuai Lin, something like that? Kuai Lang? Kuai Lang, sounds right. So Kuai Lang takes over after Bihan's death, becomes Sub-Zero. He is a classic character. When somebody says Sub-Zero, I consider him Sub-Zero, not the original Bihan anymore. So he is the guy that is the face of that, mantle. Good character in the stories in X and 11. Like all the dynamics that he has there with the clan and with him, his dynamic with Scorpion, Hanzo, and all that. So Sub-Zero is awesome. He's the character that I played with the most. So anytime if I'm actually trying to win a match in Mortal Kombat, I am playing a Sub-Zero because I had his freeze down pat and his how far away I need to be to uppercut you, and then where I backtrack and jump backward to give myself space to fire again, and then all that. So he was the one that I had my timing down with the most and could beat the game with the easiest. But yeah, I probably leaned on him a little bit too much to where I wasn't good with other characters. So a little partial to him. Takeda. I referenced Takeda a little bit earlier, just kind of as a forgettable, along with some of the earlier, Kunjin discussion up here. So I will have Takeda also in the cool enough category. He's got some like decent weapons. He's a decent part of the story. But again, there's just not enough that makes me really care about him, stand out. Tanya, I referenced earlier as well. I'm assuming she showed up in the middle games because she was in the newer games, but it kind of seemed like she already had some backstory fleshed out that I didn't know. Just seems a little like malevolent, evil version of Katana, even more so than Melina, or just like has a little bit of that Shang Tsung, like trying to manipulate things behind the scenes from what I could tell. And she was cool enough. Like if she was in a game, it's fine. I just didn't think too much of her. And then Tremor. I don't know that Tremor had story. He was in X. Kind of a cool character, like big gray version of the ninjas, brown gray with like ground powers. So pretty cool character, pretty fun to play with, but I don't think he had much dynamic, so I'm gonna have him as cool enough. All right, so that gets us to like an initial listing here, and then I will try to. I don't think I have to even it out too much. These are the characters here from dumb up that we'll really need to look at. But I'll go ahead and do the haven't heard ofs and get them in a little bit of order just based on their look and feel, and then we'll go from there. I won't spend a lot of time on it. All right, does anybody stand out to me as being cooler than the others? I think so. I think Onaga looks pretty cool. Asher looks fine. Havoc looks pretty cool. Havoc is probably my coolest looking guy. He kind of looks like a ghoul. Shijinko, I'd have up here. This guy looks real dumb. Daeru. Su Hao looks real dumb. Again, kind of an M. Bison knockoff. Cobra looks really dumb. Is like a Ken ripoff. So I'll have him down there. Jarek looks pretty dumb. Taven looks a little cooler, like a everyday man. Blaze, I wish I knew more about. He's kind of weird. Dagon, Darius, okay, these guys. Kai looks a little boring. I'm gonna have him down here. Serena, Reiko looks okay. Mocap probably looks the dumbest. We'll put him down here. Meat is kind of weird, but maybe a little bit cooler than these generic guys. Natara looks pretty hot. We'll move her up. Kira, Lovato, Moloch looks a little cooler than them. Otaru looks a little bit better. Blaze, Dagon, Darius, Shaman. That feels pretty good. So we'll stick with that being the order down there. Mocaps are at the bottom. All right, dumb characters. You know what? The Centaur just, I don't like it. So I'm going to have Motaro last in the dumb category, probably, unless I move some people down. Chameleon, I don't really remember the guy versus the girl. I remember the guy a little bit more, so I'll just keep it there. All right, cool enough. Some may drop down. We'll see. I don't. Triborg, yeah, Triborg I can move down, but I have him cooler as the other two. I mentioned him being dumb because he's a similar concept. And I don't know, like, could be wrong. I don't know how much of this for like some of these characters is, oh, we're going to put Triborg in the game so he only fills like one character slot, but you can play as like 3 of the other characters, right? And they're not in the game. If that's what they're doing, I get it. But save space. But yeah, otherwise, don't need them. Okay, I think that's all right for who's still in there. Rain, I have toward the top. Cabal, I'd have toward the top. Cetrion, I don't like Cetrion. I'm going to have her down in the dumb category. Just kind of bored me and didn't find any need for her to be in the game. Ferritor, yeah, it's fine. Bo Raicho, I'd probably move down a little bit. Fujin, I'd move up a little bit. Maybe about Ferritor. Frost is fine, but repetitive. I'd honestly, I'd have a Striker up here more than some of these characters. Again, like, kind of sucked at first, made better later. Jackie's just generic. She's like kind of like Frost. Bo Raicho's a little more entertaining than both of them. Kentaro I'd have above them. Collector I'd have above them. I find him more interesting than Bo Raicho. Garrus Kunjin. Kunjin I'd move down. I just don't. They're boring. He and Takeda are boring. Garrus. So Shinnok I would have above Bo Raicho. Shiva is fine. Sindel I'd move up to like right below Striker maybe. I might move Ferritor below those few. Kintaro, I move up. Vote right, show. All right. Frost, Garrus, Shiva, Scarlet, fine. Tanya's more interesting to me than Scarlet. Tremor. Okay. I think that's pretty good. I feel pretty okay about those. Yeah. All right. Barely not awesome. Should be about the same, but a little less, which is good. I don't think I need to move anybody down into that group. So, all right. This one gets a little bit tougher. So who are my favorites out of this group? It's tough. So I like Smoke a lot. I like Cyrax a lot. I like Aaron. Cassie, I'll move down a little bit. Kano, I like. Probably put. I have Kano as like right there, toward the top. Nightwolf, I'll move up. Sector, it's not as interesting. Jade, I'll move up. I like. I'll move Jade. I'll have her above. Jax, I'll move up. I'd probably have Cyrax above Smoke. And Kotal Khan, Melina. So Melina, I would move to be right below Nightwolf, Sector, Cassie, Kotal Khan, Quan Chi. Quan Chi, I'd move up to be just above Sector. Okay, feel pretty good about that. We'll do a last pass before I finish it up. And then awesomes. And we're going to move some to supremes, obviously. It looks like I've got like 5 dumbs, so ideally I'd have like 5 supremes. Sub-Zero is a supreme. Scorpion is a supreme. Raiden is a supreme. Start there. So Baraka is going to be lower in this group. Sonya, Shao Kahn, Shang Tsung, Reptile, Noob, Liu Kang. Liu Kang is supreme. Okay. Just planning in my head, I'm going to go about this. So Goro is awesome, but I'm going to have him a little bit lower. I don't like playing with him as much. Baraka, Sonya. Again, Sonya I love, but I can't play with her very much. Kung Lao I'll have a little bit lower. Again, these characters are all awesome, so it's not like they suck, but Noob. So Shao Kahn I'll move up. Shang Tsung I'll move up. Ermac I can move down just a little bit. Kenshi, really like Kenshi. Cool dude. Katana, probably have, Katana above that. Reptile, I'd have right about there. And then this is tricky. Tell you why it's tricky. Because there's like a logical thing to do, and then there's the thing that I'm like telling myself to do. The logical thing to do is Shao Kahn's really supreme because he is like the biggest bad. Shang Tsung could be up there as well in the awesome category, or the supreme category. There's like a little bit of a battle between those two to do that. But then there's part of me that loves Johnny Cage. And if Johnny Cage isn't in a game, I really don't want to play it. Whereas if Shao Kahn or Shang Tsung's not in it and there's other bad guys, it's all right. So I'm going to do that. Johnny Cage to the top. Balance is pretty good there. I'm going to go ahead and do, because I think it's justified, I can move these two to Barely Not Awesome, Reign and Cabal, because I do like them a lot. Would rather than be in a game. The rest, eh. And then we have more in the cool enoughs for sure still. Kano, I'm going to move to Awesome. That's probably about right. It's close. Okay, and then the Supremes. We got to rank these last few and then we'll be done. All right. Sub-Zero, Scorpion, Raiden, Liu Kang, and Johnny. I like Johnny a little bit more than Liu Kang, just as a character for some reason. Like his depth, the brashness of him, the stupidity, the comedy he adds to it. Liu Kang's classic. These are supreme characters. And again, I think some of the Liu Kang thing is I don't like the whole like him becoming a god thing, so that might have thrown me as well. But I'd have Raiden above them just as like the glue that holds everything together. Fun characters, probably one of the more fun characters to play with. One of my things with Raiden, I don't know if I said this when I played with him, was the like flying push. I feel like it stopped short. Like I'd shoot it from too far away and I'd stop short and like put myself right in harm's way of getting uppercut too much. So like I sucked with that, but I'd always cause lightning down. That was like my main move. And then Scorpion and Sub-Zero. And I think that's my list. That's the answer. Sub-Zero is my favorite for sure. Scorpion, I think they're both classic. Like if you told me a Mortal Kombat game was going to exist, what two characters have to be in it? It's those two. If you have these others, perfect. If they're not in there, it's like, you might be able to work around it. But if you said like those two aren't in it, but you got a, Raiden, Johnny Cage, Liu Kang story, it's like, okay, it'd be great, but I'm missing something. So I think this is the list. So top 10, like Sub-Zero, Scorpion, Raiden, Johnny, Liu Kang, Shao Kahn, Shang Tsung, Reptile, Kenshi, Katana. It's close. I'll make that quick switch because I was telling myself to. Noob Saibot, I'd probably have over Katana a little bit. But that's it. Okay, so there's the Mortal Kombat list. Could change with future games. This honestly makes me want to go play X a little bit to get a feel for the game again because it is very good. Like the new games are super fun from a fighting standpoint, or at least X and 11 were. I don't know about the newest one, but nice little modernization of the game for sure. So, all right, Sub-Zero wins. Flawless victory.